Welcome back to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
So today we have a really interesting case file in front of us.
It is. It's a strange one.
We're doing a forensic analysis of a story that, it basically creates this genre that shouldn't exist.
Right.
If you took, say, the gritty, sun-baked noir of a Raymond Chandler novel.
Okay, I'm with you.
And you mixed it with some high-stakes marine biology, and then you saw it all through the lens of, like, teenage espionage.
You'd get this. The Mystery of the Kidnapped Whale.
Exactly. It's by Marc Brandel, and on paper, it just sounds absurd. A kidnapped whale.
It sounds like a joke, almost. But when you actually dig into the case file, it's one of the most mechanically complex mysteries in the entire canon of the three investigators.
It's a really specific flavor, isn't it?
It really is. I'd argue it's one of their most intricate cases because the solution isn't just about, human psychology or catching someone in a lie.
No.
It relies on the biology of cetaceans, the physics of salvage operations, and even the specific economics of, 1970s smuggling rings.
Right. It's a case where if you don't understand the science, you just can't solve the crime.
You're completely lost.
And that is exactly our mission for this deep dive. We aren't just here to retell the story. We're going to deconstruct the logic of the investigation itself.
Mm-hmm.
We want to understand how a single biological observation, something as small as the shape of a waterspout, can completely dismantle a criminal conspiracy.
And we're going to look at the infiltration tactics, right? The sort of Mission Impossible stuff these teenagers get up to.
We are. And we're also going to unpack the psychology of the con artist. Because, and this is a really key point, the detectives here, they get conned just as often as they do the conning.
That's a great point. It's a two-way street of deception in this story.
It really is.
The boys are usually the smartest people in the room, or at least they think they are.
Right. Jupiter especially.
But this case throws them up against professional criminals who know how to manipulate a narrative.
Yep.
It's a sobering lesson for them, I think.
It is. So before we get to the whales and the smugglers, let's just orient ourselves.
Right.
We are in Rocky Beach, California.
And for anyone who hasn't, visited this fictional coastline, it feels very, very real.
It does.
It's coastal. It's right next to Hollywood. It's basically the backyard of the entertainment industry.
So you have the glamour of the movies on one side and then the grit of the Pacific Ocean on the other.
Which is so crucial for the atmosphere. You have this perfect collision of worlds.
Yeah.
You've got the fantasy of Hollywood, where people literally make things up for a living. And that's colliding with the reality of a salvage yard, where things are broken down and repurposed.
And that is exactly where our protagonists operate from, the three investigators.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do a quick profile on them, because their specific skills are really the engine of this entire story. If you take one of them out, the whole thing falls apart.
The mystery doesn't get solved.
Yeah.
No way.
So first up, we have the leader, the brains of the operation, Jupiter Jones.
Jupiter is such a fantastic archetype. Physically, he's described as stocky, maybe a bit stout.
Right. Not your typical action hero.
Not at all. You wouldn't cast him as the lead in an action movie.
Mm-hmm.
But mentally,
Mm-hmm.
he is a supercomputer.
Yeah. The text says he has a keen deductive mind, but what's really interesting is his flaw.
His confidence.
Yes. It's supreme confidence, bordering on arrogance. He just expects to be the smartest person in the room at all times.
And he's usually right, which is the problem.
It is. And he has that physical tactic, right?
The lip pinch.
Pinching his lower lip.
Exactly. That is his processing signal. When he pinches the lip, you know he's running simulations in his head.
He refuses to accept things at face value.
Never. If you tell him the sky is blue, he's going to check the atmospheric composition just to be sure.
But that intensity, it needs a counterweight, which is where Pete Crenshaw comes in, the second investigator.
The athlete.
The athlete.
Right. And Pete is often mistaken for just being the muscle, but I think that's a really reductionist view of his character. Pete represents the survival instinct. Jupiter will walk into a lion's den just to ask the lion a question about its diet.
And Pete is the one calculating the exit velocity needed to get out before the jaw snaps.
Exactly. He is cautious. He's the one who voices the listener's fear. He'll say, I don't know about this, Jupe.
But when it comes time for the physical infiltration, which we will definitely get to with that truck scene, he is the only one who can actually pull it off.
He's the man of action.
And finally, rounding out the trio, we have the third investigator, Bob Andrews. Records and research.
In a pre-internet world, Bob is the internet.
That's a perfect way to put it.
He works at the local library,
Mhm.
which gives him access to the source code of the world, right?
Mm.
Books, newspapers, public records.
He's the quiet one, studious, patient.
Very detail-oriented. And in this specific deep dive, Bob is actually the MVP, I'm calling it now.
Oh, interesting. Why?
Because without his specific kind of niche knowledge of marine biology, the entire case would have been misdiagnosed as just a natural event.
The mystery would have ended on page 10.
It would have been a non-mystery. Ah, a whale got beached. Sad. End of story.
Okay, so we have the brain, the muscle, and the archive.
A perfect team.
Let's drop them into the scene. It is early spring, so February or March. The location is the cliffs above Rocky Beach.
And the timing is the very first clue, even if the characters don't realize it yet.
How so?
Late winter, early spring in California. That is peak migration season for the gray whale. We are talking about thousands of animals moving from their breeding lagoons down in Baja, Mexico, all the way up to the Arctic. It's a massive biological event.
It's like the Serengeti migration, but just off the Pacific Coast Highway.
Pretty much. And the text mentions that people literally line the cliffs just to watch the spouts. It's a spectator sport.
It is.
And Bob, being Bob, drops this little piece of trivia right at the start that acts as some great thematic foreshadowing.
I remember this. He talks about the return journey, right?
Exactly. He mentions that while we know a lot about their journey south to the breeding grounds, the journey north, the return trip, is actually more mysterious. The whales tend to split up.
They're harder to track.
They are. It sets this tone that once these animals enter the water, they enter a realm of secrets. The ocean hides things very well.
And in the middle of this vast, spectacular migration, Jupiter spots an anomaly.
Of course he does.
And it's not out in the deep water with the big show. It's in a small, deserted cove below them, a place filled with storm debris.
This is that investigator instinct kicking in. The average person is looking at the horizon, at the spectacle.
Right, at the spouts.
Jupiter scans the periphery. He's always looking for the thing that's out of place. He sees movement in the shallows.
So they scramble down the cliff, navigating the rocks, and they find a biological crisis in progress.
It's a whale, about 7 feet long, stranded on the sand.
Let's talk about the physics of a stranding for a second, because the book makes it very clear this is a death sentence. It's not just that the whale is sad, it's physically dying.
It is a ticking clock. A whale is an animal designed to be supported by water. Its entire skeletal and muscular structure relies on buoyancy.
Right.
On land, two horrible things happen immediately. First, gravity becomes its enemy. Its own weight begins to compress its internal organs.
They can literally crush themselves.
They can. But the more immediate threat, which Bob identifies right away, is dehydration.
Their skin isn't designed for air.
Not at all. It's meant to be in salt water. It starts to dry out, it cracks, and they overheat very quickly. Bob estimates they have maybe 6 hours before the animal dies.
And they can't just, push it back in?
Impossible.
Yeah.
Even a 7-foot calf weighs, the book says a ton, which might be an exaggeration, but it's hundreds and hundreds of pounds.
It's dead weight.
It's dead weight, it's slippery, and the tide is going out. Every minute that passes, the water recedes further away.
So if they try to drag it,
they'll tear its skin on the rocks and the sand. It is the complete logistical nightmare.
this is the first major deep dive moment for Jupiter's problem-solving skills. He looks at this impossible situation, a 1-ton animal receding water, and he quotes the proverb.
If Muhammad can't come to the mountain,
The mountain will just have to come to Muhammad.
it's a brilliant inversion of the problem. He realizes the variable he can control isn't the whale, it's the environment.
He can't move the biology, so he has to engineer the geography.
Exactly. He stops trying to be a mover and starts being a hydraulic engineer.
So they sprint back to the Jones salvage yard, which, conveniently gives them access to all sorts of industrial material.
It's the perfect home base for this kind of problem.
And they grab a tarpaulin, a hand pump, a hose, and some spades.
And they basically build a life support system out of junk.
How does it work?
Well, they dig a trench right next to the whale, creating what is essentially a dry dock. They line it with a waterproof tarp.
Okay.
Then they run the hose down to the receding ocean and use the hand pump to manually transfer seawater into this new artificial pool.
That must have been grueling work.
Oh, incredibly grueling physical labor. But the logic is perfectly sound.
And it works. They get enough water in there to float the whale, or at least to keep it wet and buoyant and cool.
The reaction of the animal is what shifts this from just a science problem into a really emotional story.
Right. The text describes the whale as smiling.
It stops thrashing. It seems to understand that they're helping. It rolls into the little pool they built, submerges itself, and then it breathes.
A huge spout of water. And this leads us to the biological twist. The smoking gun of the first act.
Or the smoking blowhole, if you will.
Yes, exactly. Bob notices the spout. Break this down for us. Why does the shape of the water spray matter so much? This feels like such a tiny detail.
This is where all that library time Bob puts in pays off. He has been reading up on cetaceans for fun.
Of course he has.
And he knows that gray whales, the species migrating by the thousands just offshore, have paired blowholes, 2 nostrils, side by side.
Okay, so when they exhale,
The spray comes out in a V shape, or like a double fountain. It's a very distinct signature, almost like a fingerprint for the species.
but this whale,
It has a single jet. One vertical column of mist shoots straight up.
which means,
It means it is definitively not a gray whale.
huh,
Bob identifies it as a young pilot whale.
huh.
It's likely a stray that got separated from its own pod and somehow got mixed in with the gray whale herd.
So why is this distinction important? Why does it matter if it's a gray whale or a pilot whale? Is it just a piece of trivia?
It seems like trivia in the moment, but it is the absolute key to the entire crime.
Okay.
Gray whales are, they're bottom feeders, they scoop mud, they're majestic animals, but they aren't known for complex interaction with humans in the same way.
Right.
Pilot whales, on the other hand, are deep divers. They're much more akin to dolphins in terms of intelligence and, crucially, trainability.
They can be taught.
They can be taught complex tasks.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were planning a crime that required an animal to perform a specific difficult job.
A pilot whale is a perfect candidate. A gray whale is not.
Exactly. Bob effectively identifies the tool the criminals are trying to acquire before he even knows a crime has been committed.
That's fascinating. So they've saved the pilot whale. They leave it in its little tarp pool to go do some chores back at the yard, planning to call the aquarium.
They figured it's safe for a bit.
They come back a few hours later, and the pool is empty. The whale is gone.
Vanished.
Yeah.
And they know it didn't just crawl away. The tide hadn't come back in yet.
This immediately shifts the genre, doesn't it? From animal rescue to crime scene investigation.
Totally. Jupiter goes into full detective mode. He hits the sand.
And what is he looking for?
He's looking for the mechanics of removal.
Mm-hmm.
How did someone get a 1-ton animal off this beach? And he finds tire tracks.
Okay.
But not just any tracks. He finds evidence of a heavy load. He sees where someone placed wooden boards under the wheels of a truck to get traction in the soft sand.
Now that is a crucial detail.
It's huge.
It implies premeditation. You don't just happen to have traction boards in your trunk unless you are specifically prepared for a beach recovery operation.
Exactly. And the truck backed right up to the edge of the pool. They likely used a winch and some kind of sling. This was not an opportunistic grab. This was a planned heist. They came prepared to move a ton of meat.
And this triggers a memory for Jupiter. He sort of rewinds the tape in his head.
To when they were digging the pool?
Right. There was a boat offshore, a cabin cruiser.
At the time, they just ignored it, figured it was whale watchers like everyone else.
But Jupiter realizes the angle was all wrong. He remembers seeing the sun glinting off their binoculars.
And if they were watching the whales, they would be looking out at the horizon, away from the shore.
But the glint came directly at the boys.
The boat was watching the shore. They were watching the kids.
So the theory forms in his mind. The spotters on the boat saw the stranding. They watched the kids stabilize the animal. Then they radioed a ground team with a truck to come snatch it the moment the kids left.
It's a coordinated operation. You've got a spotter boat and a heavy lift truck on standby. That implies a network, not some lone actor.
A lone fisherman doesn't have that kind of logistical support.
No way.
So the boys do the responsible thing. They try to call the local aquarium Ocean World. Maybe it was a legitimate rescue after all.
It's the logical assumption. Maybe Ocean World saw the whale and just came to get it without leaving a note.
But they hit a wall.
Ocean World is closed on Mondays.
They get a recorded message. No one was there to take the call, and presumably no one was there to dispatch a professional rescue truck.
So the official channel is a dead end.
The next day, they go to Ocean World in person. They need to verify if the whale somehow ended up there. And this is where we meet our first primary suspect, Constance Carmel.
Constance is such a great character because she completely defies the expectation of what a criminal looks like.
Yeah.
The text describes her as streamlined. She's tan, she's athletic, with short hair. She looks like she evolved to live in the water.
She works at the aquarium, so she has the expertise. She fits the profile in that sense.
She does. And the boys interview her, but they do it in that classic, we're just innocent kids kind of way.
It's the Columbo technique, teenage version.
It is. Oh, just one more thing. They tell her about the missing whale, and they watch her reaction very carefully.
And she denies everything, says she wasn't there on Monday.
But then she tries to comfort them. And this is her mistake. She says, "Don't worry, I'm sure the whale is okay. I'm sure someone rescued it."
It's just a weird thing to say.
It's a very weird thing to say. If a whale disappears from a beach, the logical assumption is poachers, or it died and washed away. Why would you automatically assume it's okay?
It's reassurance based on private knowledge.
Exactly. She knows it's okay because she knows where it is. But then she makes the fatal error, the verbal slip.
This is the big one.
She refers to the animal as a pilot or gray whale. Why would she say pilot? To the naked eye, to everyone else on that cliff, it looked like a gray whale calf. Only Bob knew it was a pilot because of the blowhole.
And Constance wasn't there, allegedly.
So the only way she could know it might be a pilot whale is if she has seen it up close or possesses the intelligence report on it.
Jupiter catches this immediately. It's a major discrepancy in her narrative.
And then, as they're leaving the parking lot, they get the visual confirmation.
Constance peels out in a white pickup truck.
It matches the description of the kind of vehicle that could have made those tracks-wide tires capable of handling the beach.
So Jupiter puts it all together. Her lack of surprise, her specific knowledge of the species, and the vehicle itself. She has to be involved.
She's lying.
So they head back to headquarters, and we have to just mention the headquarters for anyone who doesn't know.
Oh, we have to. It's the best part.
It's this old trailer hidden inside the junkyard, buried under mounds of scrap metal to make it totally invisible. It's got secret entrances.
It is the ultimate clubhouse, a fortress of solitude for nerds. It's the dream.
And inside this fortress, the phone rings. And this introduces the next layer of the conspiracy.
A man is on the line. He has a very thick and a very exaggerated Southern accent.
The source text calls it television Southern.
Understand. It's a performance. It sounds like someone pretending to be a colonel from a bad movie. It's completely theatrical.
And this man offers the boys $100 to find the whale.
Which is a massive amount of money for 3 teenagers in this era.
It's a fortune.
It's designed to be dazzling. It's shut up and go away money.
But Jupiter, of course, looks past the cash to the logic of the situation. Why offer a reward to find a whale if you're the one who likely took it?
And if you're a stranger, how do you even know the boys are looking for it?
The caller knows they were Ocean World. He says as much.
So the caller is tracking them. The offer is a distraction. It's meant to send them on a wild goose chase, or maybe to keep them under contract so they report back to the villains instead of the police. It's counterintelligence.
But the boys decide to ignore the voice on the phone and follow the physical lead. They decide to trail Constance.
And this leads to the big action sequence of the first half.
Pete's mission.
Pete, the man of action, pulls a classic stowaway maneuver. They find Constance's truck parked at Ocean World again.
And he climbs into the truck bed and hides under some canvas and foam rubber.
Which has to be terrifying. The sensory details in this part are so vivid. He's bouncing around in a dark truck bed, but he's not alone in there.
He's getting splashed with cold salt water.
And he hears this fluttering sound. There's a bucket right next to him filled with live fish.
That is a huge clue. You don't buy a bucket of live fish for your pet cat.
No, you buy it for feed.
Yeah.
This confirms they're keeping something alive that requires fresh prey. It confirms the whale is still alive and in their custody.
And Pete rides in this truck all the way out into the Santa Monica Hills. It's a secluded area, very dry, all canyons and scrub brush.
When the truck finally stops, Pete peeks out. He's at a ranch house. The mailbox says Slater.
And in the backyard of this dusty, remote ranch, there's a massive swimming pool.
It's such a jarring image, isn't it? This high-tech, sparkling blue pool in the middle of the scrublands.
And inside the pool,
Constance and the whale.
and she's named him.
She calls him Fluke. And this is a really pivotal scene because it complicates the morality of the whole thing.
How so?
Constance isn't abusing the animal. She's swimming with it. She's feeding it by hand. There is a genuine bond there. It adds this nuance to her character. She isn't just a straightforward villain.
She even tells someone later that Fluke is brighter than a 10-year-old child.
Which reinforces the pilot whale identification.
Yeah.
The animal was learning. It's not just surviving in the pool. It's being schooled. It's retrieving items. It's leaping on command. This is boot camp for a whale.
But then the mood shifts dramatically. The antagonist enters, Oscar Slater.
Slater is so visually distinct. He's short, stocky, and completely bald. The book says hairless as a cue ball.
And he brings a totally different energy to the scene.
He does. He doesn't care about the bond between Constance and the whale. He only cares about the timeline. He's demanding, when are you going to be ready to go? He's the project manager from hell.
He just views the whale as a piece of machinery.
Exactly. And then Pete sees the final piece of this puzzle. He sees Constance fitting the whale with a harness, a canvas strap.
Let's just pause on the harness for a second. This is the detail that tells us the why.
It's everything.
You don't put a harness on a performing whale. Shamu doesn't wear a belt.
No. Aquarium whales don't wear gear. You put a harness on a draft animal, a horse, an ox, or a retriever.
They are training Fluke to pull something or carry a line.
This is a work camp, not a sanctuary. The harness implies a payload.
And Constance is clearly unhappy about it. She threatens to quit if Slater pushes too hard. She's protective of Fluke.
But she's also compliant. She is still doing the work. She's trapped. We don't know why yet, but the dynamic is crystal clear. Slater is the boss, Constance is the reluctant expert, and the whale is the tool.
So Pete manages to escape the ranch, barely, and he reports all this back to the team.
So now they have the Where Slater's ranch and the Who's Slater and Constance. But they need the connection. Why are these two working together?
Jupiter goes to the public record. He hits the phone book. He looks for Constance's family.
And he doesn't find a Constance, but he finds a Captain Diego Carmel, charter boat fishing in San Pedro.
It's a logical leap. Carmel isn't a common name like Smith or Jones.
And since she's so clearly in the marine industry, having a father who's a boat captain just tracks perfectly.
So the team piles into their car, and we have to mention the car.
Oh, the car is amazing.
They have a chauffeur, this tough local kid named Pancho, who drives a custom vehicle.
It's described as bull-like. It has these big back wheels, and the front slopes down. It's a total Frankenstein car.
I love that detail. It grounds the story in that Southern California car culture.
It really does. So they drive down to San Pedro, to the docks. They find Captain Carmel's office, and this is where the story pivots into pure noir deception.
They see a man leaving the office. He's tall, thin, and he's wearing a worn blue suit. He locks the door behind him.
Jupiter, ever the observer, scans him from head to toe. And he notices a very, very specific detail.
The eye.
The man has a deep crease, or maybe the small scar, right under his right eye.
And Jupiter thinks it looks like the mark left by a monocle or a jeweler's loop.
Which is a very strange mark for a fisherman or a boat captain to have.
Right. It suggests a lifetime of squinting through a lens, examining gems or watch parts. It implies fine motor skills, not hauling nets.
It's a detail that screams white-collar criminal.
But when they approach him and ask, "Are you Captain Carmel?" the man says.
Yes.
He doesn't even hesitate. He steps right into the role.
And he is good at it. He spins this sob story immediately. He tells the boys he lost his boat in a storm.
And who is he chartering for when the boat sank?
Oscar Slater.
So, for the boys, all the pieces just click into place. Slater chartered the dad's boat. The boat sank. Now Slater has the daughter and a whale. It feels like a coherent narrative. It connects all the dots they already had.
And the man in the blue suit, let's call him the imposter, is incredibly charming. He buys the boys hamburgers.
He plays the role of the confused, worried father to perfection. He asks them, "Do you know where Slater lives? I'm so worried about my daughter."
And the boys, who are usually so sharp, they just melt. They give him the address to the ranch. They tell him about the whale. They basically hand over their entire investigation on a silver platter.
It's a masterclass in social engineering.
It really is. He fed them a burger and a story that confirmed what they already suspected, and so they completely lowered their shields.
And Jupiter totally ignores the physical evidence. The jeweler's eye, the soft hands that don't look like a fisherman's, the suit.
He ignores all of it because the narrative felt right. He wanted the story to be true, so he ignored the facts that contradicted it.
So they leave the lunch feeling great. They think they've helped a victim find his daughter. And then Pancho, the driver, just drops the hammer.
Pancho had been hanging out with the local dock workers while the boys were eating, and he says, "You didn't meet Captain Carmel."
And why not?
Because the real Captain Carmel is in the hospital. He has severe pneumonia. He's been in an oxygen tent ever since the shipwreck. He physically could not be walking around in a blue suit buying burgers.
Jupiter is devastated.
He's mortified. He realizes he was played completely. But this failure is instructive.
How so?
It tells him something terrifying. The man in the blue suit wasn't working for Slater.
How do we know that?
Because he had to ask the boys for Slater's address. If he was one of Slater's henchmen, He would already know where the boss lives.
Ah, that means there's a third party involved.
The jeweler's eye man. He was tossing the office looking for clues. He is a rival.
So he's hunting for the same thing Slater is hunting for.
Exactly. The stakes just tripled. Now, if the boys or Constance make a move, they aren't just watching out for Slater, they're being stalked by this mysterious third faction.
So the team realizes they are completely out of time. They have to confront Constance directly.
They go back to Ocean World.
They corner her in the parking lot. She tries to brush them off again, but Jupiter plays his ace. He just says one word, Fluke.
The whale's name. The one he shouldn't know.
She freezes. Then they tell her, we know about the imposter at your father's office. We know your father is in the hospital.
And this just breaks her. She realizes these aren't just nosy kids anymore. They know the pressure points, so she spills the entire truth.
And what is the real story?
It's all about what was on that boat when it sank. Slater wasn't just a tourist on a fishing trip.
Yeah.
He told Constance that her father, Captain Carmel, was his partner in a smuggling operation.
And what were they smuggling? This is the detail that really dates the story, but also explains the economics perfectly.
Pocket calculators and electronic equipment.
Pocket calculators.
It sounds so quaint now, doesn't it? Like smuggling fidget spinners or something.
It really does.
But you have to put yourself in that context. In the 1970s, early 80s, the microchip revolution was happening. High-end electronics were incredibly expensive and often subject to massive import tariffs in countries like Mexico or other parts of South America.
So a waterproof container filled with thousands of scientific calculators and tape recorders.
It was basically a crate of gold bars. It was high-density, high-value cargo that was easy to move.
And that crate is currently sitting at the bottom of the ocean inside the wreck of Captain Carmel's boat.
Correct. And it's too deep for a standard scuba diver to work effectively for long periods, especially to salvage heavy crates. And Slater can't bring in a massive salvage barge.
Because that attracts the Coast Guard, the police, the taxman. A barge is visible for miles.
So he needs a specialized biological drone.
He needs a pilot whale, a natural deep diver. The plan is devious.
They're training Fluke to dive down to the specific depth of the wreck, locate the container, and attach a hook or a line to it. Then, Slater can simply winch the treasure to the surface from a small, nondescript boat at night.
It's an underwater heist using a whale as the cat burglar.
Precisely. It's biomimicry applied to crime. It's brilliant in its own evil way.
So what about Constance? Why is she helping the man who wrecked her father's boat and got him sick?
It's blackmail. Pure and simple.
Okay.
Captain Carmel has no insurance. The hospital bills for his severe pneumonia are astronomical. Slater is dangling two threats in front of her.
What are they?
First, he claims that if she helps recover the calculators, he'll give her a cut of the profits to pay all the medical bills. Second, if she refuses, he will expose her father as a smuggler to the police, ruining his reputation and landing him in jail.
So she is completely and utterly trapped.
Completely. She's trying to save her father's life and his reputation by working for the devil.
And the harness that Pete saw.
That's for carrying the toggle or the hook down to the wreck. Every single piece of the puzzle finally fits. The biology of the pilot whale, the physics of the training, the secrecy of the operation.
But we still have that wild card, the man with the jeweler's eye.
The implication is that he is likely this fence, or maybe a rival criminal who knew about the original shipment. He wants the calculators too.
And he knows that Slater is close to getting them.
And he knows the boys know where Slater is.
So the stage is set for a final confrontation out at sea. You have Slater and Constance trying to execute this heist with the whale. You have the jeweler's eye watching from the shadows, ready to make his move. And you have the three investigators trying to stop the crime and save the whale.
It's an absolute powder keg.
Yeah, looking back at the investigation itself, not just the plot, but the method they used, what stands out to you as the key takeaway from this deep dive?
For me, it is the importance of questioning your own assumptions. Jupiter failed when he assumed the man in the blue suit was who he said he was just because the story fit. He succeeded when he questioned the assumption that a whale on the beach was just an ordinary gray whale.
It's that constant search for the anomaly.
Right. The single spout versus the double spout, the crease under the eye, the live fish in the back of the truck. The truth is always in the details that don't fit the established pattern. It's in the outliers.
The biology was the key to the whole thing. If Bipe hadn't read that book about blowholes, they never would have realized the whale was a specialist being kidnapped for a specific job.
They would have just thought it was a lost baby that someone else rescued. The case would be over.
It just shows that knowledge is leverage. In this case, marine biology was the detective's single best weapon.
It proves that no knowledge is ever wasted. You never know when knowing the difference between a pilot whale and a gray whale is going to be the thing that saves the day.
And also, you should never trust a guy with a fake Southern accent offering you $100. That too. If it sounds like television Southern, just hang up the phone. That brings us to the end of our analysis of the mystery of the kidnapped whale. It's a story that reminds us that sometimes the most important clues are biological, and sometimes the bad guys really are just smuggling calculators.
And always, always check for monocle stars.
Always. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the archives. Keep your eyes open, watch the horizon, and we'll see you on the next case.
Stay curious.